Alright, guys. Well, it's been like a week, almost exactly a week, a little less than a week, since my meet. So I'm gonna do a meet video, meet recap. I actually ended up filming. I did film a video, a meet recap on the day of my meet, but I just scrapped it because I recorded with my phone, so it looked probably slightly better. But I just couldn't get the footage because stuff weird with my phone, so it was whatever. I'm just refilming right now, so you know. Anyways, I don't even know where to start, honestly. I have my numbers pulled up here so I can look at them if I need to, but I'm trying to remember exactly. So, going into it, I was super carbed up, 470 grams of carbs, felt super full, super great, was able to put on, I cut down to 196 for weigh-ins roughly. I think it was 196 point something. And then I bulked back up throughout that day, up Friday, so exactly a week ago. I bulked back up to 203, somewhere around there, 203, 204. I think on meet day I was probably 204 maybe. Actually, probably lost a pound overnight, sorry. So maybe 203, probably, yeah. Probably 203 on meet day. Had eggs and some rice cakes and yogurt maybe. I know I had eggs and rice cakes for breakfast before the meet. Because check-in was like at 8 or something. The rules meeting was like at 8 or something. So yeah. Um, Started warming up for squats. As far as other food, I packed rice and ground turkey, but did not end up eating all of that because I was not very hungry while I was lifting. I did eat some rice cakes before bench after squat, but I'll get to that. Anyways, so I started warming up for squat. Honestly, squat was my most concerned, thing I was concerned with going into this meet, especially since I changed shoes a week out. Or it's 2 weeks out, but it was an actually week out of training. It was kind of weird, going back to flats, but I feel like flats are more intuitive for most people. For me, it is at least. So that kind of was a good change. Obviously, it would have been better if it wasn't last minute, but it worked out. I think that was a good call there. I will still be using heels for sure, but not in competition. I don't think anytime soon because I really do like using flats. I would like to get Converses or some kind of shoe I can just dedicate to squats because the shoes I use are the shoes I usually wear on a daily basis. Just some random Nike shoes. So yeah. So that ended up going well. First attempt was 402. I was a little concerned during warm-ups because I think my second to last warm-up felt a little heavy, but after that we were chilling. And that moved really, really well. 402 was butter. I was a little concerned about it because 405, being my last warm up for most of my squat sessions, was a little heavy, felt a little heavy after I came back from vacation, but that was resolved. So I was pretty happy with that. Also, I will mention this meet is a drug tested powerlifting meet, but it is with Powerlifting United, and they're known for being an untested federation, so that's why they use uh, a squat bar and then a deadlift bar for those two lifts. For bench, it's just a power bar, I'm pretty sure. But for squat and for deadlift, it was a little wonky for me. Good in some cases, but it was still kind of weird adjusting to the new bar. So the squat bar was thicker. The knurling went all the way through. So I think on my first attempt when I did 402, the knurling was not the same markings, so I didn't know where to put my hands exactly. So I think I went a little too far out, so it wasn't as secure on my back because my hands were a little wider than they could have been. Because for me, I like going really narrow with my hands because I can really squeeze the bar to my back. So on my second attempt, which I'll show now, I did 426. Was it 424.4? That moved pretty well too. I was able to get my arms narrow enough on the bar to where I felt pretty secure, and that felt really, really good. Definitely a lot better than it did in training a week before that. So that was really cool. So my goal for this meet on squat was to do at least 200 kilos, which is 441, if I'm not mistaken, pounds. So I decided to go for 446 because I was like, you know what? I think I could probably do it. And yeah, I ended up getting it. It moved. I stumbled a little bit out of the hole, which is the usual sticking point, especially for me. But we got it up. I feel like with that bar, I don't know if the bar I feel like it makes a difference, but also it just could be that I was peaked and carved up. So it's honestly really hard to tell with that. But I mean, we got it up a little tiny bit of a grinder, but it was good. I probably could have done more, but I'm glad I didn't, because there's always a chance of me failing that third, which would have kind of bummed me out a good. I always like, you know, I want to make sure squat goes well because it's kind of a good starter, lift to the meet. So it kind of, you know, boosts my spirit for the rest of the meet. I feel like if I had squat go wrong, it wouldn't. I feel like that would just be so tough. That would just be, especially for me. I would like to learn how to get around that because I feel like that might happen someday. I'll just have a really bad squat, and then the rest of my meet I have to like kind of just compose myself. So we'll see. But good thing it went well today. I guess on the meet, not today, but so that was good. And then go after that, I ate some of my food, ate some rice cakes because I was trying to carb up for bench. Going into this, bench was probably one of the biggest. Obviously, like I before I powerlifted, I did bodybuilding. Obviously, not as serious. Training wise, being consistent, nutrition, everything, programming. The reason I bring that up is because I've benched the longest. I'm probably the most emotionally attached to benching. I don't even know if that's like the proper terminology for that. I don't even know. Point is, I liked benching. I still do like benching. If you know powerlifting, or if you do powerlift or lift in general, usually you go through phases where you'll like one lift more than the other. So I usually go through a block where I just really like deadlifts, or a block where I really like squats. And I have done blocks where I just actually didn't like bench, but generally I've always really liked bench. So going into this meet, bench was it was really important that, to me, that it went well. And my goal was to hit 300. That was my crazy goal, is do 300 comp standard. So my plan going into it, and I'll show the first thing, was 265, 264, yeah, which is actually what I ended up failing on my third at my first meet ever. So I was like, I want to do that as my opener. I know I can do it, and it moved really, really well. Commands, everything felt pretty smooth. I was like, okay, yeah, good, good. So then on my second, my plan was to go kind of do a crazy jump so that I could secure a good enough number on my bench, something that I knew I could do. So then I could go for 300 because I didn't know if I would, really be able to get that. So I ended up going for 292. I did 290 like 3 different times comp standard in training, maybe 2 times. I feel like it would have been. I feel like it was 3, but it was at least 2 times in training. I did 290, but that was like my second to last day of training. It was like 4th of July. I did 295 comp standard. It was kind of a crazy grinder, but I got it up. So I was like 292. I'm confident in that I'll be able to get that. So I load up 292. Well, I didn't load it up. The guys did. And I went to go do it, and I unrack the bar. And as you know, if you know, when you unrack a bench, when you're doing bench solo, you don't have someone handing it off to you. And I train solo like primarily, so I'm trained that way. I unrack it, my butt's still in the air. Then I set my butt down and I settle and I get kind of in my positioning, and everything's like kind of good. And then I go to bench. What happened is I just, take the bar off. My butt's still in the air, and the lady says start. And they said this was probably going to happen earlier in that day. And they said, just don't worry about it. Just take your time. You can set your butt down and then bench. Don't feel like you need to rush. Well, 400 milligrams of caffeine in me, and being like, I really want to get this because I want to get 300. I was just a lot of things going through my brain. I just was not thinking, and I just rushed it. And the bar just went down really quick. And then, not super quick, but it was quick enough that I could tell rewatching the footage. And I pushed back up, and I didn't, if you don't, if you know, if you don't control the descent, same thing on squats. Some people can dive bomb a squat, but that's besides the point. I mean, point is, if you don't control the descent, usually the ascent is very difficult to actually power through, which is exactly what ended up happening. So that was a bummer. So I was like, no, I'm not going to go for 300. I need to get the 292. But unfortunately, I failed it again because I was way too fatigued. It was really weird because the first time I failed 292, the guys, I could tell that they knew, like, they were like, okay, this guy can definitely get the weight. Because they didn't actually, like, obviously, I'm not complaining at all. I was just thinking about this just recently. But I was pushing up the bar for the first attempt at 292 when I failed it, and it took them a second to grab it. But the second time, they immediately grabbed it. It's probably because they thought you could probably grind it out. But it was just, that's my bad. I just should have, I just wasn't thinking straight. I just wasn't entirely like focused on my technique, and especially for bench and my new form that I kind of adapted since my last meet, being just, previously I was just doing close grip, no leg drive basically, just purely just, brute. I'm going to try and move this to, kind of incorporating a belt, incorporating wide grip, incorporating some kind of an arch. My arch isn't really that crazy. I would kind of like to incorporate that better going in soft. I'm going to talk about that later though. And leg drive. All of that being incorporated, I need to make sure my technique's on point. So if it's not, I fail something, and that's what ended up happening, unfortunately. So it is what it is. I bombed out my bench. I almost said squat, but I didn't. I did not, fortunately, bomb out my squat, but I did on my bench. So that was kind of tough. I remember being very, very bummed about that. And it kind of took me a second to kind of just like compose myself going into deadlifts, because I was like, I really want deadlifts to go well, because this is also something I've been working on since my last meet to really try and improve. So yeah, started warming up for deadlifts. So felt really good going into this, and going into the warm ups. I remember like 402 flew, and then 430 something was my last warm up. It flew also. I was like, okay, we're getting that opener. Going into the first attempt, 450. What? Yeah, 451. I couldn't find it. 451.9. Moved like, I don't even know what would be crazier than butter. I don't even know. Moved good. Also, I didn't mention this. I didn't mention this at all. Apparently, with Powerlifting United, there was some people like breaking state records for Powerlifting United, and I was like, okay, I'll check the thingy, because I never checked the rankings, and apparently I broke a squat record by like 60 pounds, and I broke the deadlift record by like 100 pounds. I'll get to that later though, and I broke the total record by like 200 pounds, like the total, like for all three lifts, in the 90 kilo weight class for my age group, 18 to 19 years old. So that's pretty sick. Yeah, it's cool. That's cool. I mean, I'm not like, and I got this because, I got first place automatically in my weight class because there's no one else in my weight class or age group. So, I mean, it's cool. It's cool, I guess, but like, I don't know. It's not like, I don't think it's a very competitive, it's not a very popular federation, drug tested wise. So I don't think, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't think there was like much competition. It's still really cool. Don't get me wrong, but that was cool. I just wanted to say that. Mention that because I thought it was interesting. I didn't realize that until the day of, like, while the meet was going on, because other people were like, yeah, if you want to claim your state record, come up to the thing when you put in tell them the numbers, and we'll like they'll say it's a state record, and then you'll get like, the referee will check your gear and make sure it's all legal, and then we'll say it's a record. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I just did that. So that was cool. So yeah, deadlift, second attempt, 485. It moved, just say it moved a lot better. Deadlift kabuki bar, definitely props to that. Moved really well. I don't know if you guys know this at all, but if there's like recently there's been a new news, is the new biggest super heavyweight in powerlifting had his first ever powerlifting meet. And funny enough, that was the same meet. The one that I competed at. It was the same meet that he competed at. Really cool guy, by the way. Really sick. I'm really hyped to see where he goes in the future. Devontae Lewis. So yeah. But besides that, I just thought it was cool. For my final attempt, my biggest thing for this meet was like, I want to squat 200 kilos. My crazy thing was like, I want to bench 300 comp standard, because it's like, it might be possible, and I feel like I probably could have done it if I just was like, my technique was just on point. But it's, if gym, even if it's gym comp standard, it's still an entirely different setting. You're used to it, you're comfortable with it, compared to being in a meet, commands, loud. everything's going on, adrenaline packed, everything going crazy. And then my third thing was I wanted to deadlift 500 pounds because I attempted 500 like almost 2 months ago now. Wow. My block right before I started peaking, my peaking block, I did a bunch of PRs. I hit 300, not comp standard. I squatted 440, and I deadlifted. I attempted 500, and I didn't get it. I got really close. I was like right at lockout, and I just never got 500. So my goal in going to this meet was to get 500. So I told the guy 501 because 485 moved great, and yeah, I got super hyped up. I think I like accidentally spit on the platform when I was like bracing or something. I can't even remember. I just remember being like, okay, and then I pulled it, and yeah, it moved like really well. I definitely could have done more, but I got 500. I went back and I looked at the live stream because I wanted to see what the commentators said, and I was looking at Devontae Lewis's stuff, the super heavyweight guy I was talking about, and I looked at my third deadlift attempt, and the commentator was like, okay, 501, yeah, this is a pretty good attempt for John Janzen, and then I got it up, and I walk off the stage, I'm like, ah. And it was like, that moved really, really well. Oh, but he seems to be really happy about it. And he probably could have done more, but he seems really happy about it. I was like, yeah, for real. So, yeah, I mean, moved really well. Cannot complain about that. I don't know. I feel like I probably could get stiff bar. Definitely anytime soon. Maybe, if not, like, within this next block. Definitely get 500 stiff bar, but, it still is deadlift bar. I could have done more. Also, kilo plates. So, there's a bunch of different variables that go into things, but, really good meet overall. Really happy with everything. Was able to enjoy my time. And I feel like it's nice because I now have competed in 2 meets. So I feel like a somewhat experienced powerlifter now. And I haven't even been powerlifting for a full year yet. It's only been about 10 and a half months since I started powerlifting, like actually, deciding I wanted to compete and working and doing a strength programming primarily, training split. So that's really cool. I definitely am a entirely different lifter than I was a year ago, which is really cool. A year ago I was doing MMA and fasting and starving myself, and I was like 20 pounds lighter, and I had lost a lot of weight. It was super weak. So that's really crazy to think about. Besides that, later that night, I went to Olive Garden with my dad and the boys, and that was sick. And then we watched Superman. Bro, it's all good. I'm telling you, it's all good. But I'm getting off topic entirely here. Point is, I had a great day. That was a great day. Then after that, was resting for a while. I'm gonna start working out next week. Really hyped. I'm gonna go to a commercial gym. I don't know how much I'm actually gonna film. I plan to do some Road to 315 videos, maybe. Life's good. God is good. I'm very grateful to Him and all the things that He's done in my life. I wanted to give a shout out to God because He's pretty sick. And recently, there's been a verse that's been very, throughout this entire meet prep, a verse has been like, I think about it. I almost always think about it when I'm, during my lifting sessions. And it's Samuel 2:9, and it goes, "He will guard the feet of his faithful ones, but the wicked shall be cut off in darkness. For not by might shall man prevail." And I actually I first heard that from Gavin Aiden, who is a world champion, 93. Was he world champion? I think he was world champion. Don't get mad at me, Gavin. I don't think he'd be watching this, but I can't remember. I don't know all the different. I watch a lot of powerlifting, but I can't memorize like all the different world champions. I'm pretty sure he was. Point is, he's a really good powerlifter, 93 kilo weight class, and he was talking during one of his lifting sessions, and he talked about that verse. I was like, okay, that spoke to me, because it's like, not by might shall man prevail, not by my sheer might, not by my way of training, not by my way of lifting, not by me doing all these different things. Only I can't do it all by myself. It's not only through me. It's through Him. It's through the Lord. And every session, I've tried to been adamant about praying before each top set, praying before my workouts, and I feel like I've been closer with him more than anything because of lifting. And he is actually the reason lifting I lift in the first place. But that's a long story. Point is, God is good, and yeah, couldn't I don't know what else I would say about the meet. I think I've said everything there is to be said. So with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. I have no idea what I'm gonna do next. Um, but yeah, love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.